Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday to you. Hope everyone's doing well. This time for this week's DEI Talk. Again, I hope everybody still enjoys these. I've gotten a few emails from a couple of you saying that you're enjoying these, and they cover a lot of things, and you can kind of watch them on your own time. So again, which makes me feel really good. So I hope you're enjoying them, and as long as you enjoy them, we'll continue to do them. So yeah. So for this week's topic. I was kind of thinking what would be, a good topic to talk about, trying to, I had my politics talk, we had our discussion on Native American mascots last week, so, we had come the last couple of weeks. So one thing I was thinking about is I was thinking about topics, I actually was looking up something on the EEOC's website, and I thought, oh, actually, this would be a great topic for us to discuss is everyone's favorite commission, the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Again, not going to sit here and bore you with all the different facets. Most of us know what the EEOC is, what they do, what they investigate. But I did a little research on them, and there's some really interesting things that I found that I wanted to share with you. So I would almost start off with a trivia question: is when people file a charge with the EEOC, what do you think is the most popular charge of discrimination filed? So I'll give you a few seconds to think. Do you think it's age, sex, race, disability, national origin, et cetera, et cetera? What do you think? So I'll give you here about 10 seconds. So just think in your mind, what is the most popular charge of discrimination? This is where I need the Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do. All right, so you have a guess? How many of you said retaliation? I'd be willing to bet very few people, because when I did the test, I got it wrong. I actually said disability, and I was wrong. So for 10 years running, actually, retaliation remains the most popular charge of discrimination filed, and by a significantly large margin. So for the most recent data they have for 2018, retaliation charges comprise more than 51% of all charges filed, which is almost 20% more than the next closest categories, which are in a three-way tie. That would be race, sex, and disability. Isn't that amazing that uh, retaliation is the largest charge of discrimination by far? And what's even interesting beyond that is charges have actually been decreasing quite a bit. In 2018, the EEOC processed about 76,000 charges, which was a 9% decrease from 2017, a 17% decrease from 2016, and almost a 24% decrease from 2010, when we had the largest number of charges at just under 100,000. And the EEOC was discussing charges tend to flow with the relative strength of the economy. So when unemployment is low and when the economy is fairly strong, the EEOC tends to see lower charge of discrimination. Now, I bring this up to say 2020 should be interesting. Obviously, we're still in the middle of 2020. We don't have those statistics yet. But for with charges decreasing pretty significantly over the last several years, well, the economy is not doing as well for 2020 because of COVID. So it's going to be real interesting to see when the 2020 statistics come out if we have seen a large increase in charges of discrimination with the EEOC because a lot more people are unemployed, businesses aren't doing well, the economy is not nearly as strong as it has been. So it should be really interesting for us to see. So when those statistics get released, I'll be sure to share those with you because I think it'll be really fascinating to see kind of where we're at. So that was kind of just some interesting reading that I thought I would share with you. One additional thing that I wanted to share is when I was reading that kind of the same things about the EEOC, one of the big things they were talking about are charges of sexual harassment. And this article was talking about how the hashtag Me Too movement actually saw an 18% increase in filings from when the hashtag Me Too started trending. So overall EEOC charges are down, but sexual harassment charges are actually way up. And again, and it's a good thing that sexual harassment charges are way up. It shows that more and more people are coming forward when they experience sexual harassment and being able to share their stories. A positive thing. But here's what I think was the most interesting aspect of that, and something I want to make sure everybody understands, is when acts of harassment are specifically defined, more women are reporting. Now they show that men and women obviously don't report in near the same kind of balance. But this article I was reading talked about more women are reporting instances of sexual harassment when it's clearly defined. So in other words, when people were just asked outright if they had experienced sexual harassment at work without that term being defined, 1 in 4 women reported having experienced some sort of harassment, so about 25%. However, this is where it's really interesting. When specific acts of harassment are mentioned, like sexual coercion or crude jokes, catcalling, things along those lines, almost 60% of women reported having experienced some form of sexual or gender harassment. So that is fascinating. So what that tells me is that, it's great in our trainings to say, oh, we oppose sexual harassment. We want to try to get rid of it as much as we can. That's all well and good. But the statistics show that when we get specific, when we try to show exact examples, then more and more women feel say they've experienced it, and statistics show are much more likely to report it. So, as I'm sure a lot of you know, we have our diversity and equity inclusion programming coming up, and we do have a class on sexual harassment is one of the classes we'll be talking about. But this kind of inspired me to want to really, when we get to that class, is to really revisit the material and make sure that we're really targeting information and not just talk about sexual harassment as a kind of a broad stroke, but really getting down to the specifics and talking about specific things, crude jokes, sexual coercion, stalking, those types of specific things, because hopefully that will increase awareness, and it will, and if somebody has been victim to it at work, it will encourage that individual to more likely come forward and report and see what we can do to help that person and try to get it out of our workplace as best we can. So, again, just thought it's some interesting reading that I was doing this week, so I wanted to share what I saw this week. Again, really fascinating. So that's pretty much all for this week. Hope everybody's having a great week, and next week is a really big week in our nation with the election. So we'll see what ends up happening. But in the meantime, hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Stay warm, and I will talk to you next week. Bye bye now.